you very much for this introduction. And above all, thank you for giving UNEP the opportunity to be here with you today in this important event, which definitely we wouldn't want to miss. And I would like to start off by commending the organizers of this event. I think it's opportune. The time is right for it. I have a long presentation, but I don't intend to go through the whole lot because it would be good to also allow time for interaction and discussion. I've joined UNEP in 1982, and I've been handling a number of issues dealing with the interface between environment and development in particular. But let me take you quickly through the little bit of a background where we're coming from and where we would like. Yeah. So the whole environment movement, as you all know, started effectively in the 1960s. Generally speaking, we used to deal with the environment as being infinite. Resources are there to last for good. Evaluation of projects and programs used to be based on financial terms rather than looking at also the environment as part and parcel of the economic process. Continued to consider that once you deplete your resources with technology and other financial resources, you can make up for that, which, again, all of this is being refuted now. And the fact that we used to consider environment as have unlimited capacity in terms of its absorptive capacity to waste and depletion, all of this is actually changing. With the establishment or with the start of the Conference of Human Environment, which established UNEP in 1972, there has been increased awareness to the importance of the environment. But in the main, environment used to be treated in isolation. But since then, a number of institutions, including Bretton Woods institutions, started taking on board environmental impact assessments. A lot of agencies, environment ministries throughout the world, environmental NGOs, and even multilateral banks started taking on board environment as part of the evaluation and assessment projects of approving projects. Again, we have the 1987 World Commission on the Environment, where it came up with our common future, and then the UNCED. I'm just taking you, to put us in context where we're coming from. And of course, UNEP, as you know, did facilitate a number of conventions since then, including the biological CBD, which is the Convention on Biological Diversity, the Basel Convention. And then came up in the year 2000, the Millennium Summit, where it came up with the MDGs, which included, as far as we're concerned, of course, Principle 7, which looks at environmental sustainability or promoting or ensuring environmental sustainability, eradicating extreme poverty, and of course, developing a global partnership for development. But where are we after all of this? In spite of all these efforts on the environment front, and I would say also on the social and economic front, as far as the environment is concerned, we continue to witness extreme losses of environmental ecosystems, degradation throughout, where, for instance, it's been estimated that 8.5 million hectares of the world's fertile lands are lost through degradation, erosion, siltation each year. In terms of soil, similar negative, again, indicators on the environment, where you can see, again, 2 million hectares of tropical forests are cleared each year for agriculture and other uses. So the picture doesn't look that well as far as the environment is concerned. If you look at the social aspect, where are we in terms of poverty? You could see here from this simple diagram that up to now, world's richest 20% consume almost 76 or 77% of the world resources, and where you can have the world's poorest 25% consume 1.5%. So again, the gap between the rich and poor is on the increase, so it hasn't taken us so far in terms of achieving the Millennium Development Goals. Now, where are we now? that has taken us, and in spite of the fact that there has been strong calls for promoting environment and development through these series of initiatives, we ended up in a situation where we have a multiple crisis, starting off with the fuel crisis, where, as we all know, prices have gone up to 150. They've gone down now to a little bit over 50. But, of course, the prospects for increased oil prices are looming there once the economies start picking up. The other crisis is, of course, the food crisis, where it has been estimated that due to such increase in food prices in the 70s, around between 130 to 135 million people have been consigned to poverty, with increased cost of 324 billion additional costs to developing countries in terms of increased costs. Again, the multiple crisis has been translated in the water crisis, though it's not that much on the agenda, but it's there. And I think it's around the corner when we're going again to face a serious water crisis. And then we are now faced with a financial crisis, which is being reflected in an economic crisis. So it's not only the environment, the social, but even the economic aspect is upon us, where jobs are being lost, and it's estimated according to the ILO estimations, and I think these were old estimations. I think there are going to be more loss of jobs in this year, which is it's really beyond us to imagine. What does this all mean in terms of this current impact? It means that there will be contraction of trade, and we've seen this. Estimates are that, according to the WTO estimates, this year it's going to be a contraction of minus 9% of global trade, and you could imagine the impact of this on jobs and on economies throughout the world. A reduced level of investments, investors are shying away, and we can know that we can all see this, and lack of confidence of investors. Reduced remittances from abroad of people working in different parts of the world, contraction of aid, and of course these are partly of concern to many developing countries, and to a large extent developed countries as well. The impact as far as developing countries are concerned is measured and quantified between 270 to 700 billion in terms of contraction in markets and loss of financial flows. It's again estimated by the World Bank that 1% fall in growth in developing countries would translate to 20 million consigned to poverty. These are grave figures, and we need to really look at them carefully. Only a few countries, or a handful of countries, would be able to address this financial crisis. Now, in spite of the fact that UNEP has been always promoting environment and trying to say that environment is a key to development, I think we haven't been successful that much. I think the message hasn't been going through, partly because environment continued to be treated sectorally in isolation from macroeconomic policies. But we've seen as of late that because of this economic crisis, countries and companies are realizing that, I think they believe now that it's true, that unless we treat the environment and unless we take the environment as a part and parcel of the decision-making process, then we're missing the point. So our strategic approach in UNEP has been trying to make the business case for environment, not approaching environment as an end in itself, though it deserves to be treated as an end in itself, but approaching it from the business mind, or from the business angle, that yes, dealing with environment makes economic sense, makes good business sense. So it should be viewed as providing an opportunity, not as a burden, because again, in our minds and the minds of a lot of decision makers and businesses, it's viewed as a burden and not as a benefit or as an opportunity for making profits, creating jobs, creating trade opportunities. Because unless now we are more efficient in producing our products, and unless we are integrating environment and including environment, even not just in the final product, but in the process itself of producing the commodity, then we're going to lose markets. And we can see, for instance, like in terms of, if we look at organic agriculture, it's an increasing market. Environmental technologies, again, it's an increasing market. It reduces poverty because if we, again, take agriculture, traditional agriculture vis-a-vis sustainable agriculture or organic. In the latter, it creates more jobs because by definition, it's labor intensive vis-a-vis traditional agriculture. And of course, at the end of the day, it promotes sustainable development because while you're looking at business, promoting business and promoting good economic sense, you're also taking into account the environment. Now, and that's why we felt that now is the opportunity, and this is why UNEP grabbed this opportunity to come up with the idea of, yes, green investments is the key and is the way forward. And we cannot, investing in traditional technologies, traditional sectors is no longer an option. So, it was in last October when our executive director, Akim Steiner, in the UK, London, announced the launch of the Green Economy Initiative. And since then, it has been, as we've been following, of course, the news and media, it's been grabbing a lot of attention worldwide from governments, from policymakers, and from the business as well. Briefly, the Green Economy Initiative has, as far as UNEP is concerned, has three main components. One is to produce a green economy report, looking at the various sectors. How can we promote green investments, let's say, in buildings, in transport, in clean technologies? What are the enabling conditions to do that? What are the different policies which needs to be introduced, and what are the benefits, after all, in terms of job creation, trade promotion, and the like. The TEEB component, which is the economics of ecosystems and biodiversity, and that's phase 2. It's a project which has been funded by the EU, Germany, and others. It's a huge, again, endeavor here, which is looking at the economics of biodiversity and how mainstreaming biodiversity in the decision-making process will, again, trickle these benefits. And of course, green jobs is across the board. The objectives of what we now refer to, I don't know whether you have had a chance to look at the policy brief which UNEP has made available prior to the G20 meeting, which is a policy brief on the Green Global New Deal, Green Global New Deal. And this is a document which outlines for governments major sectors that money or funds needs to be channeled in order to address the current financial and economic crisis, basically reducing carbon dependency and ecosystem degradation, and putting countries on the path to sustainable development, and promoting, of course, the goal, the MGG goal dealing with ending poverty by the year 2010. The main objectives of what UNEP has proposed in this policy brief is allocating 25% of the stimulus packages proposed by governments, which is now amounting almost to $3 trillion, to green investments, and that amounts roughly to 1% of the global GDP. Targeting sectors that offer returns on investments, growth, jobs, combating climate change, and poverty reduction, and these include green buildings, sustainable transport, renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, and fresh water infrastructure. Though, of course, other sectors deserve our attention as well, but it was viewed based on the research of a number of institutions and experts that these sectors provide a low-hanging fruit that can be captured in the short run to respond to the crisis. Let me give you an example. When we say green buildings here, providing energy-efficient buildings is expected to provide additional between 2 to 3.5 million green jobs in Europe and the USA alone. So that gives you an idea that investing in green investments provide this kind of value and returns as far as employment is concerned. Again, for example, in Australia, a proposed 3 billion green housing over a 4 years period is expected to provide 160,000 jobs, while of course reducing gas emissions by 3.5 million tons. And the like, I mean, these are some examples of how investing in green sectors would provide a value added to the economy. In terms of, for instance, renewable energy, about 2.3 million people have in recent years found jobs in renewable energy. And that is compared to jobs created in oil and gas. So you can see that it's not only in the traditional or even more. I mean, in investing in renewable technologies and energy and in the energy sector can provide more jobs than in the traditional sectors worldwide. Again, projected investments of around 630 billion in the renewable energy sector by 2030 would translate in at least 20 million jobs. And I think this is, I mean, if governments are keen to create jobs, these are the answers that we can provide in going green. Now, the environmental market, as we can see, this is just gives you a picture of how the environmental market has increased over, and the trend is yet to increase. So it's not just good business for government, it's good business for the private sector to be involved in environmental markets. In terms of the, just to give you an idea of the current stimulus packages that we have currently or announced by governments and the percentage of investments in or green investments, you could see here that if you look at China, for instance, with 586 billion, that's the level of their stimulus package. Around 38% is already going to green investments. If we look at South Korea, and of course South Korea, when they are investing some 80% of their total stimulus package to green investments, they're not playing around. They're not just, I would say, not just interested in the environment per se, but they're interested in good business. They know that it's good business to invest in green cars, in green buildings, in green products that they can use to access markets. So that gives us an idea of the increase in trend in even the current response by governments as reflected in the different stimulus packages they're proposing. Again, this is just to give you a wide idea of how governments are responding. Of course, these are not necessarily the figures that we would hope that we would be achieving, but hopefully, of course, these percentages would increase in the long, not just in the long run, but even in the short run. This table provides us with the estimates given by governments in terms of the response to job creation as in terms of investments in different sectors. If you look at the EU, for instance, the estimate there is between creating jobs between 1 to 2 million in investments in renewable energy. In the USA, it's around 2 million. Even in a country like Nigeria, investments in sustainable agriculture is going to yield something between 700 to 1 million jobs being created. And these are sustainable jobs, meaning that they're not jobs which are going to be created today and then people will lose their jobs tomorrow, because these are all sustainable sectors that we all know that are going to be there for the time to come. Now, what are the barriers, quickly, to the green investments that we have seen or we're witnessing as we speak? Of course, current subsidies. This is, again, a continuous problem that we continue to face. Subsidies, whether on agriculture, on fuel energy, on fisheries, these are creating, of course, negative impacts and impacting negatively on the attitude of producers and consumers worldwide. Environmental friendly technologies, still not much investments going there because of the distortions, market distortions, and subsidies is being one of them. Lack of economically favorable environment, again, governments so far need to provide the enabling environment to promote such green investments in terms of incentive measures, in terms of lending operations, in terms of policies which would encourage countries and companies to go along this road. Lack of knowledge. I mean, all of us, and we continue, even colleagues within our own institution, we keep on talking to them and talking in their language to convince them that, look, it's good business to deal with the environment. It's not just environment for the sake of environment, but environment which promotes development, promotes good agricultural practices, promotes trade. And we need to communicate properly to policy and decision makers in a simple and user-friendly manner that will make them really capture the whole idea behind investing in green sectors. I would like to stop here. I have a longer presentation, of course, which I think I made available to the organizers, but I wanted just to give you a glimpse of where we're at, where the international community is, and I'll be available during the course of the day to respond to any questions you may have. Thank you again for inviting me and for listening to this brief presentation. Thank you.